Hello there, Big Benedict here. We're playing Gears 5, and this is my insane difficulty guide and walkthrough. We're currently on Act 3-1. It is entitled Fighting Chance. So, thus commences the third act. It is another skiff chapter, skiff act, and we're going to be running slowly like everybody loves to do at the beginning. If you use the agility upgrade for Cloak, you can run a little bit faster, so that can hopefully assuage any feelings you might have that you detest this game. And I honestly don't detest it. I just find that these sections are not the type of thing that I want to do when I sit down to play, because when I sit down to play a Gears game, I just want to do fights. But at the beginning of this chapter, you're going to get the ability to have a new upgrade for Jack. It's called the Hijack. And like the Cloak, it can be used to create a very powerful advantage. Hijack takes control of enemies for you, and you can upgrade it so that it lasts a really long time. And I'm not going to use it not on this chapter, so once I do start using it, I think we can talk about it. But for right now, we're just going to cruise around, get some components. I did update the description to reflect the fact that I am getting the majority of upgrades, or the components. I'm not finding all of them, but if you do follow the walkthrough, you will find the majority of them, possibly enough to get you the ability to buy all of the upgrades for Jack and then get you that achievement. Because I read somewhere that you don't have to get every component piece, you just have to get enough of them so that you can buy all of Jack's upgrades. So, we'll get you on that path. Anyway, head back over here. We're going to go get a new weapon. It's called the Claw. And then we will be doing 3 tasks for Paddock that involve 2 fights, one of which just begs for a long shot that you don't have. But the other one includes a stealth section. So it's 2 fights in a stealth section. If you want it to be stealth, you don't have to have it be stealth. It is only stealth insofar as the enemies that don't include the Bastion and the Scion. So the Claw is actually a pretty neat weapon. It does a really good amount of damage, and it has, to compensate for its long reload time, it has a really huge magazine for a lot of bullet expenditure. However, after you shoot the gun for a certain time, and after you get the full effect of it, when the reticle starts to narrow and you get the benefit of it, if you shoot the narrowed reticle too long, the gun will kind of get corrupted and have to start over. You have to start over the process. So it's a mixed bag of ups and downs for this particular claw weapon, but I do think that it has a neat active reload, because since it damages so much. Oh, up there and to the right, there's a torque if you want it. I'll also mention the sight of another torque bow if you want to. There's no long shot anywhere. I looked everywhere. In that first section, it really could have done with a long shot, but I'm going to go absolutely nuts on this first part and show you a strategy that is really risky, but it's really worth it if you can get it to work. And if you can't, just do the fight in the conventional way. But the active reload for the Claw is that it has a faster rate of fire. It doesn't have a damage upgrade, but it shoots faster. So when you get that active reload going, you can just maim people quickly. And since it already damages well, you can have the best of both worlds. But then again, that reload, got to be careful. So we will be doing 3 tasks for Paddock, like I mentioned. If you don't want to do those, by the way, what does the reward give you? It gives you the Slayer ability for Cloak, which I'll talk about once we get it. I don't think it's on itself. I don't think it's worth the hassle of the 3 missions that you do for Paddock. But the 3 missions that you do for Paddock aren't to laborious or difficult. So it's just one of those things, if you want to get it, get it for completion sake. And once we're back on the skiff, I'm just going to show you the sites of a couple more components that I know about. There's one right over here, and then there's one more before we leave this main area. But if you aren't interested, if you've already done those parts for the side missions, feel free to just look in the description, and at the bottom of the description area, it will have the time codes for beginning the main section of the mission. Which, if you just do the rocket hangar, that's the main section, by the way. If you just do the main section, this chapter can be incredibly brief. And when you get to the rocket hangar, you'll probably find that, if you're like me anyway, that you just really are kind of dissatisfied with what goes on by the hands of the game makers there, because it is technically a stealth section, because it has that leitmotif of the stealth music as you enter the the little tune, but it's very difficult to get the stealth to work, because you have guys that are on high areas that can easily see you as you cross gaps, but you can use cloak, and you can also use the smoke grenades. If you use smoke grenades around enemies, it does not aggro the enemies, so you could throw it right next to them and they won't know. I also wanted to talk about the stealth conceit a little bit, because I haven't spoke about it, but if you are using cloak and you take out an enemy and another enemy sees, he'll see the enemy getting killed, not you, but that's enough to alert him and aggro him into a fighting mode. And then also, but it's strange though, because if you kill an enemy and another enemy just walks literally right over that enemy, they're none the wiser. So it's very peculiar. I think they just wanted to make it a basic stealth package, because they've never had stealth in a Gears game before. So I think they didn't want to take it too far. They wanted to make sure that it worked perfectly. This is their first time out with stealth. Anyway, up and to the left is an area that we'll have to go to in a later chapter in this act. But for right now, we're going to be heading over here to the water pump. In a bush to the right, near those cacti, there is a torque bow if you want. So there's 2 torque bows, no long shots, and that's a little bit too bad if you ask me, because that's irksome to me personally. But when you get in here, there's 4 of these enemies that you've seen before. They're just like, they're elites, and they're also just more medium-based locust, and if you take away their cover, it's funny to see them have to flee for safety. But what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to take care of these first ones here, these first 4, and then I'm going to push the very end, and then I'm going to melee kill the I'm going to bum rush the 2 snipers that are up there with long shots. I'm going to use flash on them, and I'm going to use melee to shit on them up there, and then I'm going to be smiling as I shoot the remainder of the enemies from their perch up there. And the big irony is that once you get up there to where those long shotters are, you don't need the long shot anymore. So it's frustrating. And I tried pulling down a long shot, but I never was able to do it. Anyway, the second spawn happens up here. I'm going to toss a smoke grenade to get over here safely. You don't have to, though. You want to rush this. Squat, because you're a squatter, right? And then activate stim, and then quick jump over this stuff. Get up here quickly, and stun these ones. Now these bastards can get in a swipe at you, but did you see what I got away with using stim? I couldn't have got away with that if I didn't have stim. So I think that serves to show, if anything else or nothing else, that stim is just all powerful in this game. You could do all manner of hijinks. That's only the tip of the iceberg. But yeah, up here is where the snipers shoot at you from, their lofty perch, their palace in the sky up here. And what I think I'm going to do is, since I showed you the claw, I'm going to just pick up my tried and true long shot, and then get the remainder of stuff. But make sure that you get all the upgrades over here. There's 2. And then since you used that smoke grenade, if you did use it, make sure that you revisit the site of the switch and pick up your 4 frag grenades, because you're going to need those potentially. There's also an upgrade over there at an area where if it was a better game, you could just jump over there. But this game, you can't jump on it, since this game is a pile of shit. And of course, I'm just kidding. Some people don't know that I'm being sarcastic, and I do have to say that that I am kidding about that, because I don't play pieces of shit. You know me. Then why'd you play Marlo Briggs and the Mask of Death? Oh, that? You mean Marlo Briggs and the Mask of Shit? Oh, that was, I don't know why I played that. I was stupid, I guess. Stupid and wanting a God of War type experience on the PC, I guess, even though it's like dog shit of war. Anyway, head back. Keep stim on. Switch to the shock traps, and you're going to want to have shock trap on for the stealth section as well. But I'll tell you that long before you need to know where it is. So just pick up your grenades. Here we are. Make the switch back again. And then, why do you need the shock traps? Well, there's going to be an onslaught of juvies up here, and they could do the bulk of the work for you. So it's just an advisement on my part. It's just an advisement. And then, after you do the juvies section over here, because we're now heading to the pumping station, or as Marcus calls it in Gears of War 1, the pumping station. The pumping station. Gonna pump iron at the pumping station. Oh, there's also a really bad bug in that previous area. Once you get back on the skiff, and after Paddock has given you the information about where these next waypoints are for his mission, if you get off the skiff, the information that Paddock gives you disappears from the menu when you go into select that menu for the map, and it also goes away from any waypoint that you have on the compass that he's put on there for you. So it's a bug, and I've had to restart the previous checkpoint for a couple times because of it. It doesn't break the game, but it's sure fucking frustrating. Hate it. Don't even get off the skiff. Once you're on the skiff, just do not get off the skiff, because it will disappear. Anyway, there are some components over there, and some of the cars you'll find some explosive refills. Fuck, Jack. I asked you twice to pick the shit up, Fuck, pick the shit up next time I say a little bit faster. God damn it. Alright, head on in here. And then the juvies are going to come from the area where the crack in the wall is. So I'm going to put down a couple of proximity mines. And if you want to, you can put 1 or 2 grenades near to where you've put the proximity mines, and neither the proximity mines nor the grenades that you've tagged will blow up. So you can have 2 and 2 out all next to each other in a big group if you want to. So when you get up here, you'll hear the screams of the juvies. And they come from that crack in the wall area, and then they also come from the second story up there. They'll just start to drop down. So there's 2 sets of incendiary grenades in here, and it's your choice what you want to bring into the next part, because I am going to do a little bit of frag tagging, but I don't think it's really essential. And I often get into a bit of a mental quandary about what's more worth it, 2 incendiaries or 4 frags. Just the math of it seems, it would seem like, well, just 4 is much better, But I really don't know. I think the efficacy of the incendiary grenades, when you throw them at enemies and they consistently burn enemies that aren't moving too much, and see how much damage it wreaks, it can kind of sway your opinion. But I do think that having 4 frag grenades is also, handy, because then you have 4 potential frag tags that you can do, whereas with the incendiaries it's only 2. Then you have to go, hunting for 4 fresh frags. But as you saw, the first wave of these juvies was cleared up by the by the grenades that I tagged on the surfaces. Oh, you can't tag the grenades on the sand, to let you know, in case you wonder why I didn't do that. And also all the shock bots and everything, and the electricity from those shock traps did everything I needed to for the first wave, and I think part of the second wave too. I think there's 2 waves. 3? No, it can't be 3. It's 2. Anyway, you don't have to do too much, to be honest, right there. Have Jack interact with the control panel. And right now, since we're going to be heading into that stealth section, I would recommend putting on Cloak and also putting on the Shock Trap. So Shock Trap and Cloak. And then, you know, restock on your grenades over here. And then you should be good. If for some reason you do need refills for your GL, like I said, search some of the cars. They'll have, I know at least one car has an explosive ammo refill box. Okay, now we're going to be heading over to the, I know exactly what it is. It's called the Harbor Docks. I've done this frequently over the last few days because I test it first, and then I do an initial run through it, and then I always try to find ways that I can improve on it. So it's coming up over here in just a few moments. You want to park the skiff as close to the... I've left this in the screen because I wanted to show you to switch to Cloak. Park the skiff as close to the derrick as you can, and don't get out until you're as close to the derrick as you can. Because once you get out, it starts to be the scenario. And you need to kill this first enemy really quick before he walks too far up from where he started. I'll show you. He's right over here. This bastard right here. If he walks too far forward, don't get him because they'll see you. Wait until he moves to the left a little bit. So I'm going to put a proximity grenade or 2, probably 2, beneath these 2 cargo containers. See the blue one and the yellow one? Well, once you've killed all but one of the scions down here, or the whatever the hell they are, the elite shitters, out from the yellow cargo container will spring a drop shot scion and a bastion. So putting a proximity grenade or 2 below the area where they spring down from will prevent you from having to do anything with the bastion. You'll kill the bastion outright, but the barrier will be protecting the scion the whole time. So when he comes out of his barrier, you'll need to finish him off. And if you want to, you can throw a couple of incendiaries at him if you have those. It would probably dispatch him really easily. But this is the last thing we need to do to get the Slayer upgrade. So one of my teammates ends up doing something I don't want him to up here, of killing this guy before I could possibly put down another. Oh no, that was another instance where I failed. Sorry. But you see that yellow cargo container? I'm going to put another one down there. Now you might say, how about putting a couple of frag grenades down, with them? Would that do anything more? No, it doesn't, because the shock bots will deal with the bastion, and the scion will be protected from any frag grenade blasts. So I would not do anything but put stim on here in case the drop shot gets you. I was protected there from something, because I know it goes through cover. It must be giving me a break or something. But you definitely need to put stim here on so you don't get in any trouble, And then from all those kills that you stealthed, you can get ammo drops, so you can pick up ammo. That's a nice little touch that the game does. And the engineer from the previous area will drop down. She'll uncloak and come down here, and she will give you the Slayer upgrade once you've confirmed to Paddock that the tanker is not broken. And then I think there's possibly just one more component that we have to collect in this area before leaving it. And then there are some outlying areas that have some nearby outlying areas, rather, that have some more components. Anyway, definitely, if you can, try to bring a long shot to this next part. It's going to make your life a lot easier. So, there's a Slayer. Now, what Slayer does is that before you get Slayer, before you have it accessed and, on your arsenal, here's the component, by the way. So what Slayer does is, like I said, before you have Slayer, if you were to shoot or melee with the knife, your cloak would end. But your cloak now, since you have Slayer, does the opposite of that. So even if you hit with the knife or shoot, your cloak still lasts for as long as, the timer for it lasts before it goes off. Now, what's the purpose of that? Isn't stealth supposed to be stealth? Yeah, stealth is supposed to be stealth. However, other enemies shouldn't be able to be seeing you too much if you're cloaked. But there's a little wiggle room with that, because I still get put down sometimes by enemies while I'm still cloaked and I'm hitting people and shooting them. So it really is a strange upgrade. What I thought it was originally was the cloak lasts for as long as you just get stealth kills. Like every time you get a stealth kill, it just keeps lasting until you don't do a stealth kill for X amount of time. But I didn't test it too much on my original playthrough, so I'm just starting to learn it, since I did not do the side missions until like my second playthrough. Anyway, the rocket hangar is right up here. Excuse the wrong turn. So make sure you have a cloak, and the flash wouldn't be a bad idea, to be honest. I would say flash and cloak and the long shot would be your best tickets over here. I was only able to indulge this stealth section, parenthetical quotes on both ends of the word stealth, because I think it's a better fight than it is a stealth section. So I chose inevitably to do both. So I'm going to do a combination. I'm going to cloak kill these first four elites here. And notice as one of them walks over a body right there, I told you that's exactly what happens. They can walk over bodies and they do not get alerted. So after that, do you see this gap right here? Well, the guys in the turret see you when you sprint from there to there, unless you either use a smoke grenade or use stealth. And sometimes it's not the guys in the turret. Sometimes it's the one that was up here when we mantled up to this place. It was him, the one that charged and ran away. It's him. So it's unlike the other stealth sections in this game, where it isn't so sensitive with a bunch of external factors. I think if maybe the turret gunner spawned later or something like that, it would be better, and you were just responsible for the drones on the ground. It's just that those turret guys are placed too high, and I'm sure you could do it all stealth, but the problem is that even after you do this part, you still have at least one unreachable enemy. See up and to the left, there's a turret up there. You can't go over there. And then once you go on the bridge at the end of this, once you go on the bridge, you'll spawn the next part of the fight. Sometimes you spawn it even sooner than that for some reason. I'm not sure. I'll take a look what happens, but fuck, those turrets, they don't give you a chance to aim. So if you're trying to size up a nice aim and you're taking your time, the only way you can get away with that is using stim preactively. So you want to use stim, and then once you know you have stim working, guarding you, then you want to take the time to shoot either the gunner itself, or size them up with your gun. Or you can flash freeze the turret enemy, and that should kill him, because the concussion blast of the flash, once purchased, should deal enough damage to kill a gunner outright. But now we have a final shit show down here with elites and imagos, as well as both of the two juvie types. So it's a potpourri of dog shit over here. And once you start seeing them come down the hill, after you set down any shock traps or frag grenades that you want to swivel around on the turret. How easy is it to get killed on the turret? It's not hard. I mean, it's not easy to get killed on the turret, so it's fine. There's not enough suppressive fire at you. But if any of those grenadiers comes close, you need to back off. I mean, you can go extremely far away from this whole situation if you want to, and just pick people off if you're not comfortable with that, rather than staying up here. The turret that Cole's near, that one would be more risky to be on than the one over here, because it's right where all the enemies end up drifting down to from that embankment of red sand there to the top right. But once that's cleared, take your time to switch back to the stem. It's up to you what you want for the other one, but as you're exiting the stage, make sure you hang a right over here and pick up the final 3-piece component set that's in this box over here, and then that'll be a done deal. So if you didn't do Paddock's mission, this would be the Paddock's 3 missions, this would be the only place that you do, and it would be short. But the next chapter is Rocket Plan. It's a allusion to, I believe, the poem Rocket Man or the song Rocket Man, I'm not sure, but regardless of whatever it is, I will be seeing you very presently in 3-2, and I would like you, until that time takes place, to please take care.